Alright, and I'm going to do my best to give you a couple of good equipment walk around videos. The first thing I want to do, it's a little after 5 and I just drove out here. We used this dozer last Saturday all day. And before I crank it, I wanted to show you the exhaust is cold. Muffler, exhaust outlet, turbocharger, exhaust manifolds are cold. I'll show you how well it cranks cold, but they are cold. It has not been cranked today. I'm going to do this in a couple of videos. Make sure I try and cover everything. The dozer has very few issues. I mean, really nothing that affects its operation. I'm going to try and show you the good and the bad on it. This whole lot, which is actually not quite 2 acres, has been cleared. If you see everything down here in this pile, there's gum stumps and gum trees. You know, some of them are 14, 15 inches. Some of the pines, some of the gum trees are 2 feet or better. There's some big hardwood out here as well. But this dozer pushed. It's hard to see, there's a driveway up there. That whole other side of the lot was cleared with it earlier in the summer. It's grown back in. And in the past couple of weekends, this dozer has, this with the skid steer, has cleared this entire lot. So back to the dozer. I'm going to start with the blade. The blade is in decent shape. It is a semi-U blade, which is what you want if you're pushing trees. Cutting edges on it are not bad. If a man was going to do some grading with it, I think I would put new cutting edges on it, but they work just fine for pushing trees. And a lot of people have asked me if this is a hole right here in the blade. I'm chipping the dirt out of it. You might be able to see right now. If you look at the pictures, a lot of people have asked me if this is a hole, and it's not a hole. Whoever reskinned this blade last used really thin plate. Normally when we skin a dozer blade at the shop, we use 3/4 inch plate. We've got a place in Cowpens called Watkins Brothers that can roll it for us. But it is not a hole. If you look on the back side of the blade, it is fine. It just is where somebody skinned it with, it looks like, even less than 1/4 inch plate, which is really not enough. Walking on around, this is the tilt cylinder. It does work just fine. It is leaking a little bit. Before we started this lot over here, I filled up the hydraulic reservoir. I think I pumped I dumped about 2, not quite 3 gallons out of a 5-gallon bucket in the tank. And it's not leaked down enough to even notice in the reservoir. So it does leak, but it's nothing major. This spring we had it in the shop. Both track adjusters were replaced. New piston and new seal, both sides, and I've got extras. You can see your grouser bars are good. I'd say they're 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches tall. I've got pretty decent sized hands. And the whole reason I bought this dozer is your chain is pretty much brand new. Your idlers are good. You can see you got plenty of height on the idler. And all of your bottom rollers are in good shape. None of your rollers are leaking. They're all turning. Your sprockets have plenty of meat on them. Your pins, I'll try and get a shot of the pin. Your pins are perfectly round. I would honestly, in all my experience, I would call this undercarriage in the neighborhood of about 80%, maybe even close to 90%. That's the whole reason I actually bought this tractor, because I've got another one, but it's getting close to needing an undercarriage. And I can tell you right now, the cheapest set of, this does not include sprockets, idlers, or rollers, but the cheapest set of chains and pads for this tractor that you can find are ITR, which they have them on eBay, and it's $8,000 for a set of chains or rails and tracks. So I mean, that's the money of this dozer. That's the whole reason I bought it, was for the undercarriage. And it turned out that it was a diamond in the rough. Moving on around back, you'll see some wetness on the back of the dozer right here. I'll show it in my hand, and that is from operator error, me being a dumbass. And you have two lines right here that feed from they're drain lines from your steering boosters to the top of the transmission, and I backed over a sweet gum stump and ripped this line and pumped probably a gallon or two of gear oil out onto the ground. So I've replaced those, and that's why it's wet back here. I don't know why that's closed. The entire dozer, when I got it, had fuel system problems. The dozer was having issues. I had to put a fuel pump on it, injection pump. And because I'm a maintenance freak, I deal with cranes in my other job, I went ahead and redid the entire fuel system. Cleaned the tank out. All the fuel lines are -6 SAE fittings, new valves, shut-off valve. The entire dozer was redone. Both your return side and your flow side on this dozer was done. There's one random hose right here that's hanging out of the back. This was the old feed hose, and the only reason it's disconnected is it's clamped in like 4 places up under the seat, and I haven't pulled the seat out of it to remove that hose, but that hose has been replaced by this hose. You can see when you get it, if you get it, there's a couple of clamps up in there, and I was actually using it out here and running it and didn't have time just to yank that hose out for right now. But it's not doing anything. That hose has been replaced with your new hoses. While we're on the fuel system, this dozer has been fully serviced. Has new fuel filters. Again, all the fuel lines were redone with -6 SAE hydraulic fitting, or crimp-on hose fittings. Everything up to the pump. I know this picture will be in very low light, but if you look at the injection pump down in there, you can see the top cover of the injection pump. It is brand new. Now I think I've got the ticket for that, because I may want to get you that ticket and the paperwork, because that pump was about $1,400 from Ambec. That was not a cheap, eBay rebuild. I bought that from Ambec in Columbia, which is the authorized Bosch dealer, so that's a genuine Bosch pump, and it does have a warranty on it. The motor, I'll try and get as good a picture as I can. At that point in time, we were doing the fuel system. We did all the return lines, checked all the injector hold down torques, because they are bad about backing out on these motors. And that again was done with quality line that came from Hydrodyne, which is a Parker line. So no cheap eBay stuff. This is all as it should be done in a heavy equipment shop. The radiator has been flushed. That's just something we did when we bought it. We always do that. Just for economy, I run Caterpillar ELC coolant in all of my machines. So when it ran through the shop in the winter, we did flush the radiator. The radiator was very clean, and we filled it up with Caterpillar ELC. Just because it's a good all-around equipment coolant. I run it in my pickup trucks. I've got 6.7 diesels, Power Strokes, and we run it in all of our equipment, skid steers, loaders. We keep one antifreeze. It's a very good product, and also it's a very reasonably affordable product. You don't have really any hydraulic leaks. All of your hoses are good and tight. You don't have any leaks around the flange fittings. The hoses down to the tilt cylinder of the blade are good. While we're under it, and I know this will be in low light, since it's not moved, if you crawl underneath, you've got really no oil. The ground is good and dry. You've got 2 little drips right there, which is just from that oil that leaked up top, and everything else under the dozer is good and dry. The belly plans are good and clean. This is a 25-year-old dozer. It may leak a drop or two, after a couple hours of running. Anything that age will, but you can see this dozer is parked on dry red clay. It's been here since Saturday, and there's nothing on the ground. everything's good and dry, which is what you want. All the rollers down both sides of the track frames are good and dry. Nothing around the funnels are leaking. On either side, both of the funnels are dry. Alright, I'm going to cut it right now, and I'll make another video. I'll try and keep these around about 10 minutes, and I'll get up on top of the dozer and show you some stuff from there.